Good evening, everyone. System Chalk here for the 185th episode of Book of Hours, playing as the artist. Sorry for the longer episode on Monday, but I kind of got into it, and I was looking forward to the book that we will most likely be reading today. So we are trying to finish off an Invincible Audacity. That's another persistent memory. We had to give up the Wormwood Dream for that, but that was one I was willing to surrender. Just to give you an idea of sort of what the stakes are, we have Edict's Marshal. I guess I could throw a winter in here. So what I'm really looking to do is get a Wormwood Dream out of this. Now, we don't have that much in terms of moon to work with. I could try and generate a moon memory. Actually, you know what? We're darn close, but we're also close to the end of the evening. So I think we're going to wait on that. We will just make sure that we have some moon before the end of the day. I'd kind of like to talk with Tuppence or Terence. If Mrs. Kill winds up giving us a moon memory, that's better. But I'll make a decision. I guess I need to start making some decisions now, actually. I'll do some gardening, I think. So, the gentle climates of Cornwall support grapevines, harvest in spring and summer. So, writes the roots, pluck grapes from the vine. Trying to think if there's any flowers that we need. So, we've got moth orchids in spring. I mean, moth orchids have been helpful. Yeah, you know what? Let's get one of those. And then with my lantern, I think I can go to the gull colony, but I don't recall if I can do anything in the sea caves. No, that's a moon and scale. And in fact, that's sky as well, so I don't think we have any options with our winter unless we want to make some money. Yep, that was not very well considered on my part. I think I'm going to wait with the winter then. I don't want to just throw it away for nothing. We presumably could at least open up a box before the evening is finished. But obviously my bad for not planning that better. I also don't think the shop's going to get me anything that I need. I mean, money. Money's always nice, but... Actually, come to think of it, I could probably get the egg from Tuppence or Terence. I think I'll tend to the chickens. So Tuppence, the other chicken, Tuppence's most notable quality, all observers will agree, is that she is not Terence. Time with the beastie. Offer this beast my company? Who knows? Perhaps it will offer something in return. Better now. What overlooked delight. January Sanguinary, also called Sanguis Sultandis, or, by the ignorantly superstitious, the true blood of Saint Januarius. So we have some of that up here. We should probably... Actually, we've got a lot of that. Have to put it on the shelf now. So, few priorities for tomorrow. One, read the book as soon as possible. Two, we want to feed the dog. We want to feed the chicken. I guess that's 2 and 3. We will want to level up whatever, I guess it's sights and sensations. And then we'll also want to get the Wormwood Dream back. Some of that's going to involve reading certain books for certain memories. And out of the memories that we got from today, we can preserve the storm, the gossip, or the satisfaction. Now, if we're going to be working with sights and sensations, sky and winter, I don't think either of those really help. Regret would, but we don't have access to the regret. So we'll settle for dream on a memory. Now that night has fallen, I can rest and perhaps dream on the day's doings. Moth orchid is soft as velvet to the touch, except when it changes. I can't remember where I was putting the plants. I know I had like a new shelf. Oh right, I was improving the hermit cell. I still find it hard to believe that I've run out of places to put the moth orchid here, but right by the candle. Where else would you put it, right? Pluck grapes from the vine. All right, we're good to go. And as I used to say in my youth, the day is done and so am I, but I've earned my pay. So we're in a good place as far as restoring elements of the soul, the tuppence, the threepence, and the sixpence. Suppence? I don't think that's... Well, I know that's not a word. I just made that up when playing... or maybe they say suppence. Yes. But we'll... I mostly just like having a few that we can chuck into the sweet bones without having to break a crown or something. Okay, the Colonel's lessons and the Lionsmith's lessons have been unkindly and reductively rendered as stab versus thump. Invincible audacity. A general says, when I make the right choice, I win. An illuminate says, when I win, I determine which choice was the right one. Natalia Brulot. So if we need, that's a nice six edge to throw at our problems, but mostly I just like having it in the inventory. A bottomless and reproachful appetite, but such a good bottomless appetite. Okay, and now it suggests a meal would be welcome. So plenty of eggs. Yeah, we will definitely take care of the tasks at hand. So, doggy is carnivorous. And we do need to put some effort into that. So for this one, I think it's okay to use the fet. Feed the beastie. Satisfy this creature's appetite. Food will make a hungry beast or a wild one cooperative. While we wait, we are going to read Towards a Fundamental Aesthetic 2nd edition, or The Refinements of Light. Julian Cosley had never wanted or expected to write a 2nd edition of his masterwork. This is only a 10 winter challenge, so it's actually fairly straightforward for us to read, but we do still need the time, so we'll start by plugging that in. In fact, I may want to be a little more thoughtful than that. So Quenchings and Quellings basically lets me read this whenever I want, or sorry, with whatever I want, and because it's heart, I can read that at Natan's desk, so we can use a fet, which I don't use for too much else. Although given that I've wanted to go out to the various parts of the island, maybe I should actually be saving a little more fet. Anyways, we'll read in Ericapean, a language of surpassing beauty and elusiveness, revealed through the ecstatic apprehensions of the Orphics, the Eleusinians, and the Sibyls of the Rhine. Ericapean, these mystics claimed, allows for the elaboration of hues, sensations, and states of mind too subtle for grosser tongues. I can master this mystery. All right, so we're working with that. I did say that I wanted to restore the Wormwood Dream. Now, if I go to the Noctunary, I can throw my Edicts Martial in. I could even put the Old Wound in. Maybe we'd put that under Shadow. But we're still short the 1 moon. Now, I suppose one option that I would have here would be I could... I could use some wood or something like that, but let's try and go for a memory. Actually, there's one more thing I want to double check. So it takes single-use tools, but not... I was just thinking something like a tangle brag is a little... That's kind of wishful thinking. Funny thing is, I actually don't have as much moon stuff as I might think. I mean, something like the Curious Seashell is kind of interesting, but the drawback is how I actually fit that in with everything else. So not that many places take a material. Maybe a workbench. Actually, you know what? There's something promising there. Let's see if we can play around with these. So I'm still going to need the memory for the Wormwood Dream. So there's the old wound. Interesting. So, you know, I've been thinking about this the wrong way. So what I can do here... I could take the lunar globe. Now I'm still going to need the memory, but I could theoretically throw any old memory in as long as I had some other moon item to throw in. And I mean, certainly, like, these are quite strong in terms of moon. Well, sorry, they're strong in winter. They're okay in terms of moon. Okay, so you know what? I'm actually going to hold off. I will keep a tryst down below here. But I'm thinking that maybe after some conversations with Mrs. Kill, we may have some other ideas about how to get that Wormwood Dream back. And we've got a gale. That's actually going to be helpful for leveling up. Sight and Sensation still has Sky, so good news for us. And for some reason I did not start talking with Mrs. Kill, although we don't need to worry about it right away, seeing as we are currently feeding the dog. We see Mrs. Kill as we're out walking the dog and reading Towards a Fundamental Aesthetic, 2nd edition. Say hi and stop for a chat. A full belly makes a helpful friend. This beastie is now inclined to cooperate. So I'm going to say that the priority for talking with Mrs. Kill is a little bit higher than getting the Wormwood Dream back. So Mrs. Kill has seen more of the world than she usually lets on. Conversations with her yield the occasional surprise. We may change with that, but we've got plenty of time left in the season, so I'm not too fussed about getting everything back right away. Clearly the most important part is making sure that we finish the book and can make use of the Newman. One of the other drivers too is that we know that we're not going to be able to use the moon for our work down below here. There tisn't be no tizzer. Mrs. Kill, as every local gossip knows, came from France to marry Mr. Kill, but there's scant trace of the continent in her accent now. Mrs. Kill has seen more of the world than she usually lets on. Conversations with her yield the occasional surprise. Okay, again, Towards a Fundamental Aesthetic, 2nd edition, or The Refinements of Light. Julian Cosley had never wanted or expected to write a 2nd edition of his masterwork. Julian Cosley long regarded Solomon Husher as a charlatan, but his friend Nina Lagasse painted 3 paintings before her death in 1895, And these paintings apparently convinced Coseley to change his mind. With considerable irritation, he revised his magnum opus. The perfect hegemony of the hours is perhaps eternal. Coseley had always championed history rather than eternity, the exceptions, limitations, contradictions of freedom, but Huscher's and Lagase's work convinced him to believe in the paradox of the eternal ending, a means in which perfection might be reconciled with freedom. He's not happy about it. This is perhaps the angriest book ever written in support of a peaceful philosophy of acceptance, but Coseley was always scrupulous about his conclusions. So 2 sights and sensations for us to work with. And Newman, a final understanding. Eternity and history cannot be reconciled. Freedom cannot be perfection, not unless we understand the paradox of the eternal ending. And only in certain histories is that paradox possible. Any librarian can use this to establish a history and complete the game, but the magnate can use it to win a particular victory. Okay, so I've actually started taking some notes about the different texts. So this is, I know we were building up to this for a while, but, sorry, 1 second. What I hope this communicates is why I keep reading and rereading texts for more than just sort of padding out the runtime, right? Like, I know, as a broadcaster, I don't have a camera on, so if I'm not talking, there's really no evidence of a human being running the stream. And I know some people like hearing the talking, some people think there's too much talking. You obviously can't win everyone over. But in the case of Book of Hours and even Cultist Simulator, although in the case of the books in Cultist Simulator there are fewer opportunities to reread things, but there is a very strong argument to be made for reading and rereading, simply because you have more knowledge at different points of the game than when you maybe first read a certain text. So unless you've played the game before, I am willing to guess nobody... the first time that we read Glimmering would have associated it with a specific statue with a key in its forehead, or a skeleton with a key in its forehead, and connecting the Hush House key. And in fact, even after reading Glimmerings, right, there are a few things. So for instance, the reference to the white, red, and black, you might have noticed there's something about the flowers on this tree, but overall we haven't gotten too far down that path just based on some of the books that have been randomly assigned to us. So even then, we only have a few little glimpses here and there of certain events or certain hints that there might be something bigger going on. But Glimmerings was sort of the big hint for us that there was something for the Rowanarium. A little bit like, reading... We actually had 2 texts that sort of pointed us towards the tablet. Serpentine Slab, I think. I've probably got that wrong. Serpent Root, sorry. But yeah, in any case... Again, it usually takes a few tries to sort of figure things out. It's also why I sort of allow that I haven't found all of the treasures in Hush House. I definitely know there are ones that I know of that we haven't done in this playthrough yet, but I have a suspicion that there are probably some treasures of the house that I haven't uncovered myself through gameplay yet. But I always think it's kind of nice to approach these things with... basically doing it like a natural playthrough. It's nice that some of these revelations don't seem to just kind of come out of nowhere, right? I had a dream before I started recording, and I decided that I'd put the Hush House key in the Rowanarium. Anyway, Sights and Sensations, we needed 3 memories. We've got 3 memories here, so we might as well lock that in right now. Two of these are kind of unique ones, but I think I can live with losing them. Another fruit plucked from Knowledge's tree. Improve the skill to level 4. And regret. All right, that brings us... a start. Let's say I'm going to keep 1, 2, 3 aside, and then we need the whist. So just want to make sure I have enough time to do some of the other things that I want to do. And you know what? I can make my life so much easier with this Wormwood Dream. I think if I go for it was one of the scrolls. I believe it is the Shredded Book of Suns. I think that will help me out with the Shredded Book of Suns will help me out with that Wormwood Dream. Alright, I've already mastered this, but I could reread it and perhaps recall a memory. Better now. Again, don't see much use for the metal right now, so we'll just use that to earn a bit of money, at least until the end of the day. And right now what we're really waiting for with Mrs. Kill is just the elements of the soul that will allow me to... the memories that allow me to free up some of these elements of the soul for other activities. We have some some containers to open. The skill is now level 4. Its power aspects have also increased. I should probably have moved this already, so... And we'll have one more, so that Sights and Sensations goes up to 5, replacing Pearl and Tide. Okay, so we sort of sit on these for now. I'm not entirely opposed to opening up another one of these, so let's go for the scaled one. What Midnight Gift? Solace helps. So that frees up one of these. Peace After Trouble. We still have a bit of time left in the day, so I'm not panicking quite yet. If I get a chance to feed the chicken, I'd prefer that. Yeah, I guess we'll find that out in about a minute or so. So satisfaction actually helps us... No, it doesn't, sorry. I thought it had heart, but I was mistaken. It was the sky I was excited for the solace. Well, that's fine. We'll still be able to work with this. Okay, the Shredded Book of Suns, a radically different text from any of the other versions of the Book of Suns, attributed to Hagar, Queen of Shur, Mother of Wolves. Set down with reverence before the intercalate by one who understood what would come to pass. Apocryphal chapters foretell the means by which the Sun and Splendor and the Forge might circumvent the impossibility of their joining through proxies that are in some sense themselves. The Sun and Splendor and the Forge of Days could not be joined, but Sunset Celia and the Swan King could. This secret is the trick of it. So the easy answer here, as we take this to the Nocturnary, so this is a 5-moon memory. Tryst, Edicts Marshal, get my Wormwood Dream back. Well, I get considerably more. In fact, I don't even need to use the Tryst for it, but what else am I going to use the Tryst for, right? So in a pinch, what I can do here is I can use the Faust and the Shapt to read 2 texts for memories. I think probably I'm going to wind up using at least one of them as an insurance policy. It is spring and the landlady has served me a slice of her stargazy pie with the pilchard heads poking cheekily through the hot crust. So basically what I'm thinking of here is I want sort of the guarantee that I'm leveling up Sights and Sensations. Mrs. Kill might give me 2 Sky or Winter memories in a row. Probably better to expect just one of them. Serpent milk. It does look almost like milk, and it is drinkable, but don't give it to cats or babies. goes well with the Witching Tisane. Alright, hindsight's welcome. I think I'm going to wait on the consider verb for now. Yeah, so satisfaction's helpful in its own way, just not helpful for us right now. So given that we're sort of at the last call, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one element of the soul to read an appropriate book. Now, I don't think the Shapt will get us anything in terms of the different journeys and such, so let's go to the Vagabond's desk. I think we'll read Glimmerings. Obviously, we've got the secret that we were looking for out of it, but I don't think it would hurt just to, now that we know that that's a hint, we can read it with hindsight. I've already mastered this, but I could reread it and perhaps recall a memory. Now, I don't have the same sort of worry that Mrs. Kill's going to overwrite the memory, because what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use, let's use the core in this case, to feed tuppence. Pleading tuppence. Cluck, cluck. Feed the beastie. Satisfy this creature's appetite. And finally, so we're going to use the whist with the memories. So I've got a core, a health, and a faust. So I think there's still something kind of interesting in terms of exploring the sea caves. Echoes an endless night. I'm also going to use my Foss to explore the gull colony. The birds are furiously vigilant. And finally, we are going to go for a walk on the moor. I'm kind of looking for wood still here, so we'll use that. Weaving and not working, the gorse is bright on the land's nape. And again, I already expect that we have what we need for sights and sensations, so we're just kind of carrying on. The metal is going to be earning me some money. I could use it to open up a box, but I do want to keep the... Actually, sorry, there really wasn't an excuse. There was no excuse. I don't need the money, and I should have opened a box because it'll take me a minute to open a box, and it's going to take me a minute to read the text, but I wound up making my choice. I have not lost the feeling, or sorry, I've not lost the instinct to just keep making money in Cultist Simulator. Let's hope it is equally possible to forget this again. If there are laws that apply only in Dream, then it must also be that there are crimes which can only be committed there. Okay. I suppose in a pinch I could also employ the Wormwood Dream, but that would be... Probably the Old Wound would be a little smarter to put in on the Sights and Sensations. And I don't see any reason to do either, seeing as we will have a bittersweet certainty in 7 seconds. Night has fallen, dawn will come soon. A full belly makes a helpful friend. This beastie is now inclined to cooperate. Glimmerings, an anonymous prison diary written by a dreamer convicted of Aniric irresponsibility and confined to the Cucurbit. The prisoner is plainly terrified and bewildered by their situation, and has been unable to wrangle a coherent explanation out of anyone, but the dreams keep coming, and they keep writing them down. Snow, broken mirrors, half-heard sky music, flowers of white, red, and black, a blood-streaked winter dawn, the most notorious signifiers of Aniric risk, fantastically vivid and detailed. No wonder they were locked up. Their final recorded dream is of a worm jewel beneath Brankrug Isle, which they open with a key carved from their finger bone. Eventually, the sun in rags always brings a beautiful ending. Okay, so last and most important step for today. Take the whist, use that to level up sights and sensations. And then, essentially, the rest of spring we can kind of do whatever we think is best. So satisfying to have come so far. And then I guess I should make a selection in terms of which of these memories I'm taking overnight with me. I think I can take both. Yeah. I'll take the gossip. Now that night has fallen, I can rest and perhaps dream on the day's doings. And as I used to say in my youth, the day is done and so am I, but I've earned my pay. The one thing we don't have in the inventory that I normally would have at this point would be a Newman. It's maybe a little less clear to me which Newman I would want to apply. Probably something with Moon, given that Mystery Moon is my next challenge. But the skill is now level 5. Its power aspects have also increased. But I'm certainly not married to it. All right, abandoned luggage, unexpected finds in the folds of earth and sky, long past the help of any lost and found. Scraps from the Isle's Edge, so we've got another gull's egg. I know this is heresy, but I'm actually going to put the luggage in here. Gleanings from the darkness. All right, driftwood fragments not unwelcome. We have had a couple of cases where we want some moon. All right, that's not too bad of a haul, to be honest. But that also seems like a good place to finish. So we have read yet another text that houses a Newman. We will also get to a point where I start using these in a specific way. The one thing that is interesting, though, is out of all of these books, we don't have anything that's relevant to the artist yet. And so we still have some work ahead of us. But I think if we're really stuck in terms of things that we want to read, the 3 and the 3 is the next natural step. It's also a nice, big, challenging one. So it's going to involve a little bit of work on our part to get that over the edge. Although we absolutely have what we need to get it done. We're also getting close to the end of spring, so that'll mean a new season. It might mean somebody who knows Hyksos. We can definitely hire them for lessons and finally read the 3 remaining texts. And then the film that involve Hyksos. I actually seem to recall there's probably one more... I think there's one more film that we don't have yet. Anyways, all of these are things that we can handle in future playthroughs. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow in the next one.